So hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about theories of international trade. So we will study about international trade and investment, where there are international trade theories like theory of mercantilism, Laissez-faire Doctrine, theory of absolute advantage by Adam Smith, theory of comparative advantage by Ricardian, factor endowment theory or HO theory, Leontief's paradox, international product life cycle theory, and theory of national competitive advantage, which is Porter's diamond theory. So talking about international trade and investment, UNO came out of Bretton Woods conference in in order to boost international trade and economic growth to achieve the monetary stability. So they decided to set up some of the following organizations like IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development of the World Bank, IMF, International Monetary Fund, and ITO, International Trade Organization. So international trade theories. So IBE manager must understand international trade theories because it helps to explain what might be produced competitively, where company go to produce the item efficiently, and also to understand the government practices with free flow of trade among the countries. So it focuses on enumerated questions like what product to import or export, how much should we trade, and with whom to trade. International trade is done for comparative advantage. The country with rich in natural, human and technological resources have surplus production. Countries with no comparative advantage import from surplus nation for which international trade occurs. So initially it involved trade doctrines, which was theory of mercantilism and laissez-faire doctrine. So theory of mercantilism, so countries should export more than they import. If successful, they would receive the gold from countries that run deficit. It gives importance to trade but to only export only. So the goal is to gain from the trade but at the cost of other countries. So countries focus on accumulation of gold through export. So protectionism was developed for which they imposed heavy tariff on imports. So gold was the form of the wealth which admired and gold obtained through balance of trade. This concept dominated for 200 years, where it meant only one nation could increase the wealth at expense of others. As gold is limited, trade that increase nations' gold supply must be reduced. It is the result of fierce competition. Laissez-faire doctrine became the watchword for this investment. So laissez-faire doctrine, in this today we call it free market mercantilism. So it emphasizes to permit private sectors to work on their own, and government must not have any types of market intervention. It is lawlessness as it is too free. Now theory of absolute advantage. It is regarded as the first formal theory of international trade. So countries' wealth is based on available goods and services rather than the gold. So it prescribes country to specialized in that product, which gives its competitive advantage, and advantage can be natural or acquired. So natural advantage is considered as climate and natural resources. Meanwhile, acquired advantage is considered to be technology, skill development through human effort. So let me explain with the help of table. So over here, absolute cost advantage to country A over here is 2x over 1x. So over here we can see in country A it produces more units in output x, And in country B, we can see that country B produces more units of Y in comparison to country A. So specialization is recommended as country A for X goods and country B for Y goods. Now for the exchange rate, 1x for 2y. So, and for country B, 1x for 6y. So we can see that it is 1x for 2y and 1x for 6 units of y. So over here, as we can see that a country A produces 2 units more and country B produces 6 units. So this exchange rate is established. So for country A, export 2x for 6y, as over here we can see 2x for 6y. So there is the net gain of 2y for country A as 6 minus 4 units. And for country B, export 6y for 2x, which is 6y for 2x. So over here we can see that both countries have their net gain. Over here net gain is 1 as 2 minus 1. 1x is the gain for country B and 2y is the gain for country A. Now coming towards the next slide, there is the theory of comparative advantage or Ricardian theory. So what it talks about is that gains from the trade will occur even in a country that has absolute advantage in all the products, because country must sacrifice to produce more efficient output. It is also known as comparative cost advantage theory of international trade. It specifies terms as TOT, terms of trade, so which includes to advise country what quantity of import of any product can be purchased through export of fixed quantity of efficient product. So TOT means what quantity of import can be purchased through sale of fixed quantity of export. Over here we can see in the form of formula where TOT means quantity goods that country sacrifice divided by obtained unit of import goods. So it is a useful formula for national trade plans and policies. Now explaining the Ricardian theory in the form of table. So over here we can see that, so here it is that country A, 1x for 2y as 4 by 8 in country within country A of output x and y. So the ratio will be formed as 1 is equals to 2y. And for country B, for same country, for output x and y, there is 1 unit of x and 6 unit of y, which is 1x for 6y. Now in order to calculate the comparative advantage, A for output x, so the ratio is formed as 4 by 1 by 8 by 6. So over here we can see when forming the ratio we can find that 4 by 1 is greater as compared to 8 by 6. So comparative advantage for country A is X goods, so jute production. For comparative advantage of country B, we can see that for forming the ratio 6 by 8 and 1 by 4, so in opposite direction it has gone. So we can see that the ratio of 6 by 8 is more, so comparative advantage for country B is Y. So specialization is recommended as country A in X and B in Y. So international exchange rate is established at 1x is equals to 3y. How is it is established? By looking 1x for 2y and 1x for 6y. on the ratio of 2:6, we can form as international trade exchange rate as 1:3. So for country A exports 4x for 12y and country B exports 6y for 2x. So both countries must have net gain. So over here country A will have net gain of 4y, meanwhile country B will have net gain of 1x. Now coming towards the Ricardio assumptions. So it assumes that there must be two countries and two commodities. There must be perfect competition in the commodity and factor market. Labor is the only factor of production. Labor is homogeneous. There is free trade. Production is subject to constant return to scale. There is no technological change. Trade between two countries takes place on the barter system. There is full employment exists in the both countries. Constant return to scale is available. No transportation cost. So factor endowment theory or HO theory. It is also known as Leontief's paradox. So American economist Dr. Wesley Leontief tested HO theory under USA conditions. So he found it out that USA exports labor intensive goods and imports capital intensive goods. But USA being a capital abundant country, it must export capital intensive goods and import labor intensive goods than to produce them at home. So this situation is called Leontief's paradox, which neglects HO theory, which is Hexiger and Olin theory. So factor endowment means HO theory by Hexiger and Olin states that a country should export goods which require factors in which country is abundant in, and it should import the goods which require the use of factor which the country is scarce in. This will give a country a comparative advantage in the goods which are being produced. So it is not sole factor influencing commodity price and international trade. The HO theory neglects other factors like technology, technique of production, natural resources or factors, difference quantity of labor which can influence the international trade. So international product life cycle theory. So as the product reaches its maturity and decline, the production will shift to the foreign location, especially to emerge the economies where unskilled, inexpensive labor can be efficient for a standardized production process. A product passing through its death stage in PLC1 market need not to die in another market. Unwillingness of the firm to write off its productive assets may force them to go into international market. So in international market there are 4 stages: introduction, growth, maturity, decline and death. So product in dying stage can be introduced in the fresh other market. So over here we can see that during the introduction and growth stage, the MNC manufactures the product, new innovative product in the developed countries and exports them into developing country. In the growth stage, the MNC moves the production to developing country and begins importing to home country. And in maturity stage, the developing country competitor export to MNC home country and competes with MNC imports. And when it comes to the declining stage, the developing country market remain viable target market for MNC. MNC home market is diminishing. In some case, the product becomes an item that is imported by its original country invention. Now coming towards the theory of international competitive advantage, also known as Porter's diamond. It explains why nation achieves international success in particular industry. While Japan is an good in automobile, and Switzerland is in luxury watches. So there are four attributes or characteristics that shapes the environment in which local firms compete. Its attributes are known as Porter's Diamond. So his team attempt to explain why a nation achieves international success in a particular industry which could not be easily answered by HO theory and comparative theory. So over here we can see the Porter's diamond consists of these factors, where factor endowment, demand condition, related supporting activities, and firm's strategy and structure all are governed by government. So over here we can see as factor endowment means factor of production is affected by skilled manpower or infrastructure. So a country with a better factor endowment, which is skilled and infrastructure, can do better in the given industry. Demand condition, it is concerned that if knowledgeable consumer in the domestic market are pressurized firm to create high quality and useful innovative product, this increases the possibility that farm product enter in foreign market. For example, like USA, Japan, Europe has entered in many countries due to better product. Next, related supporting activities. So presence or absence of such industry determine competitive advantage of the firm in the nation. It is available and efficiency in the international bank in Nepal, where determine the advantage of Nepali manpower agency firm. For example, efficient tire manufacturer impact competitive advantage in automobile industry. And next example, like German have good textile as they produce high quality sewing machine. So next porters include firm strategy, structure and rivalry. So firm's strategy on financial, market and technical areas. So structure are the condition to govern if the firm create and organize and manage. All these are determining factors for competitive advantage in a country. And overall the theory states that these four attributes create a diamond, and firms are successful when the diamond is favorable, and competitive advantage is achieved when the diamond is favorable. But over here government can play an important role of facilitator and obstructions for the environment. Now coming towards last topic, so we will talk about the implications of international trade and investment theory, FDI based theories, which is international investment theory, implications of international investment FDI theory, and contemporary issues in international trade in coming next slide. Make sure guys you like, comment and subscribe to my channel Study Pig. You guys are amazing. Keep reading.